What are the stakes here for the Lakers, and how does that impact their strategy up to this point?
Malika, the stakes are making a move or moves when they ultimately do that give them a chance in future years to win a title while LeBron James is still playing at an all-NBA level, and certainly Anthony Davis's part in it. But the deals that were there this summer are essentially what would be there right now, and those are the 2-pick deals, which is really the only assets the Lakers have. They're 27, 29 first-round picks, the Indiana deals they talked about, the Utah trades. And I think L.A. looked at those deals and said, yes, we would be better, but we wouldn't be good enough, and they wouldn't set us up to be a championship-level team. And so I think for the Lakers, they're going to certainly talk to teams, but there's a level of desperation teams know they have. No one is going to do a deal with L.A. for anything but asking for a lot right now. If you're the Lakers, you really have to wait 20 games, see what teams may start to pivot, and look at what might be out there for deals that aren't the 2-pick deals. Maybe it's a 1-pick deal. Maybe that's somebody who's looking to get money off and trades somebody with more money left on their contract for Westbrook's expiring deal. Or things start to present themselves, especially in a year where there's going to be tanking for Victor Wembanyama, and all of a sudden a team has an injury, a team decides instead of chasing the play-in, let's get in the lottery. And I think for the Lakers, they've got to be patient so that they don't compound the mistake they made, which was trading all of their assets for Russell Westbrook. 3 players that they could have packaged in other ways or kept, been able to kept Alex Caruso by not taking on Westbrook's deal and trading a pick to not compound that with another deal that they see as short-sighted. And remember, Rob Pelinka got a contract extension. LeBron James is on an extension. Pelinka does not have to go out and try to do a deal that saves him in the short term. And I think that's part of ownership's thinking is if we're going to commit to Rob Pelinka in the job, he helped us win a championship in 2000 in the bubble. We're going to allow him to reshape this roster. Let's not do a deal here that when people are just clamoring for it, that ultimately, again, is short-sighted and doesn't get them ultimately toward being able to really try to reshape the roster and chase another championship. Again, the 2027-29 picks, those are really the assets they have. And once you burn them, that's it. They're gone, and you don't really have any way to improve the team.
Reminder, here are the Lakers' next 10 games. It really doesn't get easier. Look, they host Dame Blazers on Sunday. They play the Nuggets twice next week, along with the new-look Timberwolves. So, Brian, you said something in our pre-show meeting about the biggest question that you have for the Lakers as you're looking at these first 2 games. What is that?
Yeah, what was just said about them waiting 20 games is a lot what the league does think that they should do. They think they might need to wait 40 games. They might have to even wait 50 games till the trade deadline. What the league, and I feel the same way, has some question about is in this interim, in these games now, why are the Lakers prioritizing making sure Russell Westbrook is comfortable when they should be prioritizing LeBron James is comfortable? They are bending over backwards, and they did it again last night when they were playing the exact style of ball that LeBron wants, which is defense and grind it out, and then they bring Russ back in the fourth quarter because they're trying not to alienate him. From the day that Darvin Ham took over, his number one priority has been what? Maximizing the team around the all-time generational players, still providing huge numbers, or dealing with the guy who's past his prime, who's too surly to be taken to understand the reality. And that is what is mystifying the league as they watch the Lakers start this season. Why are they not doing what's most important for their best player?
Like, for me, when I watch it, it is, to your point, it's like you have Anthony Davis, right? And he's always talked about, hey, like, I want to play the 4. I don't really particularly like the 5. I want that's my sweet position, right? LeBron James needs shooter around him. All of those things can be solved by just moving somebody to the bench if a person is willing to sacrifice that part of their game and just saying, hey, I need to play better. But as the media member and as we're talking, and even as a former player, when you go up there and you shoot the way you do, your team doesn't play well, and you hear it's like, oh, no, we played well, we did some things. But to their point, they did. This is what they did. They only had 9 turnovers, right, for the Lakers. That's why they were in that game. So you got to compliment on them. They forced the Clippers into 21 turnovers. So, like, they were doing so many positive things. But there is still one part that's always going to be missing. You will not win games if you do not flood the court with as much shooting as possible. And that's not what they're doing. And we're going to sound redundant, but that's just basketball. So I don't know what else to say.
Zach, what else is there to say?
I don't really think there's much else to say. I mean, it's not going to work with Russ. It hasn't worked with Russ. We're in a lot of games now of sample size about this. And look, to RJ's point, LeBron is the best guy ever with the ball. So you're not going to take the ball out of his hands.
Nope.
Russ is just not going to do anything without the ball. He just stands there and his defender doesn't guard him, and that's it. With this idea that he's going to cut and screen and shoot corner threes should already be dead and buried 5 years ago. He's not going to do it.
Yeah, there are 3 things that made the Lakers win a championship. The first one is LeBron and AD played like the stars that they are. And I know, Zach, we talked about it a little bit on your pod as well. You got to be top 10 in the category. Top 10 in that category to really move the needle as a 2-star NBA team. So AD and LeBron, you've got that check. Secondly, you need to have that defense. And that championship defense back in 2020 was on point. Lastly, you need that shooting that Richard alludes to. Those 3 things, the Lakers have too. They have LeBron and AD. They improved on the defense yesterday. Those are the signs. They had, I believe it was at 9. Oh, no, they had 12 steals yesterday. Their defense improved. Coach Darvin Ham said that the glaring omission is out of the 3, they don't have that shooting. And until they get that shooting, that's the only thing that can push them over the hump to be a competitive team in the West. I watched that game, and I saw that it was interesting. 9 for 29, I believe, the Clippers shot from 3. It was like, hey, we held them to 9 threes. The Lakers shot 9 for 45 from 3, and that was by design. So many threes are being shot because they're going to force you to beat them from there, and that is a recipe for disaster because they just don't have the pieces to be able to make that happen. So they're already playing with limitations.
Look, there's nothing else we can say.
Yeah.
We
Let's
don't
bring
have any shooting. There's nothing else.
Then let's bring in Kendrick Perkins. Hey, Perk.
Oh.
I got something to say. You know I always do. Look, here's how I'm feeling about the situation.
Tell us.
If you can't trade Russell Westbrook right now, which I believe you should try to trade him right now, then I believe you should send him home. Because watching the game yesterday, Russ looked not engaged. He looked miserable. And it's unfair to him at this moment. Listen, it's been bad since he's arrived in L.A. He hasn't been able to fit in at all. And look, I understand he's not known for a 3-point shooter. I get that. But at some point, Russell Westbrook, that is playing with his mental. The noise is playing with his mentality. It has been for the last year and a half. And so now all of a sudden, it's not like he's been any type of help towards the Lakers. And now this relationship can't go up. It's going down. I saw when Darvin Ham took him out the game last night in the 4th quarter, his body language said it all on the bench. And you could see him kind of saying things under his breath, or he might have been saying it out loud. At this point, don't just make Russ suffer. He's not this bad of a player. I get it. He's not the Russ of the MVP status, but don't just hold on to him. Don't just have him out there. Don't just have him looking bad because he don't want to be there. And to be honest, the Lakers don't want him there. So why even try to make it work at this point? Get it. You can't trade him. But how about sending them home until you can find a trade, or when they get 20 games into the season, go ahead and make that move.
Okay, so before we put a quick bow on this conversation, Zach, I know there was one specific play that stood out to you that you wanted to show us.
Yeah, for all the talk about the jump shooting and the 3-point shooting, those 4 blue dots at the rim are just as important as anything else. His layups have fallen off. In this one, he sees Kawhi there and just says, I'm out, I'm bailing, I don't even want to challenge Kawhi. And because I have problems, I remember this. That's exactly the same kind of thing from 2014 when Kawhi was becoming Kawhi in overtime of the conference finals, Spurs up by 1. The similarities are eerie, except this time Russ is like, I'm not even going to try you. Kawhi comes from the same spot, makes the same motion. It's really incredible. But look, again, all the focus on the 3-point shooting. Yeah, that's a problem. His layup game has fallen off a cliff in the last 2 years, too. He's just bonking stuff off the glass, and it's just, I don't know what else to say.